Hi everyone, welcome to another podcast. We have Robert, who was part of our fan cams. Who, let's just say he upset a few people.
I said in the last transfer window we don't need to bring in anyone, and I still believe we don't need to bring in anyone.
Really?
Well, how many teams are below us in the league table?
So that was Robert. Of course, he upset a few fans, saying that he didn't know what he was talking about. So, Robert, what's your response to that?
Well, we've taken 3 loan signings, and everybody was expecting a big January transfer window. So, where's this big transfer window gone for everyone? I mean,
since
everyone shouting for a striker.
Since you've talked about that, I may as well talk about on that. This video is, of course, just an audio podcast. You've mentioned, obviously, the transfers there. Talk to me about it. What's your general feel about it from Newcastle having to rely on other people's more or less reserve players, especially 2 of them?
It's not really a surprise for me. I don't think. I don't know about other Newcastle fans, but why would Ashley spend any money in this transfer window? The guy's trying to sell a football club. He's not going to put extra money into a football club, is he?
Is that because I think you're seeing with Jorgensen, the money was clearly there when they was going for 15 million, however much it was for Nikolai Jorgensen. So there was clearly money there. And then did you think that why didn't that deal happen? Do you think it's because they were asking too much, Newcastle didn't value it, or do you think he wasn't worth it, or why didn't they go in and get him? Clearly they wanted him.
Yeah, I think it's a risk. It's a risk when you're fighting relegation to buy a player from abroad. However, I think it's also a risk in relegation to not buy a player. And we've got to get Premier League proven, but we can't spend loads of money. So I think that's the sort of the balance Newcastle had to get in the transfer window. And I think for Ashley, the loan signings was just it was sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. It was your go-to. It was a safe bet. He can get Premier League quality in, and he's not adding to any cost to the end for this season, and he can sell the club at the end without any added cost, sort of thing.
Yeah. So you think, no surprise. I mean, I was quite disappointed about the Daniel Sturridge one, visibly, because I thought that was the one player that could come up and be a hero. Now you've go on.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, how you've got to question Daniel Sturridge's fitness, and it's been a lot in the media. I know Ian Wright said, if you want a lift, St James's Park is the best place to go if you're going to bang in goals week in, week out. But then Alan Shearer said he's 28 years old and he's only started 100-odd Premier League games. Now, you've got to question his mental ability or his mental strength. So there's ups and downs to that, but we've got Slimani, and I think Kennedy has looked absolutely amazing, but we'll get on to players later. I think the big one for Newcastle is you've got to look, when you look at Mike Ashley, don't forget about his football knowledge. Look at his
he's got
knowledge. He doesn't, but he's built his companies up from the bottom to the top. And what people forget is that he's not bothered about Newcastle United or spending money. He just wants his money, and if he can, the lower the costs, the more the revenue you can get, the higher the profit. That's
right. So you wanted to come on. It was your idea, Robert, to come on the night. You wanted to, I guess, talk about a few things. One of them being the recent form. What do you mean by the form?
If you go back to our last video, which was done after the Arsenal game, where we got beat 1-0, obviously the big game against West Ham, we pulled up victory 3-2. And then the 2 games we were worried about was Man City and at home and away, which was 2 difficult games. But Man City home and away, and you look at the bottom of the table and how tight it is, we can take a point out of that because our goal difference only got deducted by 3 in those 2 games. And that for me is massive. If you're only conceding a negative 3 goal difference to Man City this season, you're on your way to survival, I think. I suppose the Swansea and the Brighton games are a bit of a upset, but Stoke again, good 3 points, and I think Burnley and Crystal Palace are a good point both games. So, to be honest, I'm quite optimistic for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, despite them difficult fixtures coming up at home.
Well, Jose Mourinho's never won at Newcastle, so.
You're pinching my star, aren't you?
Well, he's got to win something, doesn't he?
You're right.
He's got to win sometime, but Liverpool away is always going to be a tough one, and then Southampton at home is out of all of these, I would say is the must win. I was born '99, so I don't know really much about Newcastle at Wembley, so that's that's a bit of an unpredictable one. And then obviously Huddersfield at home is your 6th fixture in the league, and that you would say that's a must win. But for me, I think West Brom are down. I don't think Sturridge is going to save them. I think Huddersfield have done what Blackpool did when they last came up. They had that sort of honeymoon
6 months.
period, 6 months, and then just sort of slowly got dragged into it and couldn't get out of it. So I think they're down, and I think the last place is up for grabs on any of the bottom half from Bournemouth down. Especially against Crystal Palace, I think
we were awful.
We were awful, but we got a point, and I just think we need to go for the second goal more. I think Rafa, at the moment, and he's got away with it, he's got his 1-0 wins, but we can't always rely on keeping a clean sheet, especially away from home. I'm a fan of Joselu, but his one criticism would be to add more goals to his game, but you could say that with every striker in the bottom half of the Premier League. So
if he plays for
surprise, is it?
Yeah, well, if he plays for a Champions League side, he's got to bag 15 a season, isn't he?
He is, because the service is better for those sides.
Exactly.
You look at the form that Murphy's in and the form that Kennedy has started since he arrived. Those two look like world beaters in our side at the moment because they're playing so well.
Well, Murphy's lost his place.
Which is weird because I don't think Atsu has performed as well as he could have.
Or even Richie, and you're not a fan of Richie. I see you in the comments all the time.
Richie works hard because everyone in the team works hard. That's not an excuse. If you're going to criticise someone for the end product, then criticise other players for the end product. And people are very defensive about Matt Ritchie, I feel.
Yeah, he's definitely
agree?
Oh yeah, I think he's definitely gone off the boil. I think he started off with them 5 assists really, really good. And then probably since late October, he's just dropped a massive level in.
After the Crystal Palace game, I would say.
Yeah, and then he's
just... Crystal Palace game was the first game of his bad run. But I think it's a lack of pace. That's what it is. You look at Kennedy and you look at Murphy, they're both quicker than
agile, yeah.
And that's why he cuts inside. That's why you don't see him run past a man. You see him cut inside and try and take a shot because he's not quick enough to go on the outside.
Do you think he's better in the 10?
Well, we tried that against Chelsea in the FA Cup when he was.
Yeah, it was a ghost. So yeah,
he's that's now eliminated. So,
but it was against Chelsea, wasn't it?
It was, but it was a good test for him. It was a test for him, and he didn't show. So everyone else, Joselu has to play up front alone against Chelsea, Man City, Man United, but he doesn't get recognised for that. So you can't give one excuse for Richie and not for Joselu. So I just think it's a bit biased sometimes from Newcastle fans.
Yeah, I think ever since the end of October, his form's definitely dropped. And he was absolutely fantastic for second half of the championship season.
He was probably the reason why we won
the
championship, because the goals he scored against Wigan and Burton alone were 4 points added on. So he was definitely the reason, but I think he's still got to step up to that quality of the Premier League still, and I still don't think he's quite there. So it's just a personal opinion, but I definitely see the frustration with Joselu, and I understand why fans are frustrated. But
they are with Gale as well. Gale's picked up a lot of criticism the last month as well, hasn't he?
Yes, but again, I mentioned Gale and Perez after the Luton game and seemed to get annihilated in the comments for it. And said that they couldn't... No, but I said they couldn't hit the target. And look, since the Luton game, since you've come up against since in the last 5 games since it, neither of them have scored. So obviously the criticism was right. I mean, I know Perez had the rich vein of form over the Stoke and Luton game, but don't forget, it is Luton Town we played. It's not anyone special.
Do you think, like, because everybody's heaping all this on Slimani, he's going to come in and score the goals? For me, I'm a little bit worried because I know he looks like, on paper, a better player than what we'll have up top. But if we don't give him service, he's just another hostler. He's just another Gale, isn't he?
Exactly. I'm not too keen on him, but I think it's better not to be too keen on someone before you judge them and let them impress you. I think that's what Newcastle fans are, I would say, worse for. Building at the moment is building someone up to be a great player, and what a signing, he's going to be great, and then when they don't quite perform, it's like, oh, why has this happened? I think we have to just...
Is he better than what we've got?
We've got to see it first, I think. I think it's all about performance. What
did you make of the Martin Dubravka signing? I thought it was odd.
I think Darlow's made a few mistakes, but I think Dubravka, I've not seen it. Again, I've not seen enough of... The three players we've signed, we've not seen enough of, and I think the only thing we can take out of... The only thing we can take into the last part of the season is, impress us, like, show us on performance what your talent is. And I just think all three of them have a massive chance to prove themselves, but it's up to them to perform, really.
Yeah, well, I was saying that Dubravka's only coming in to allow Freddie Woodman on loan. Sharkey was having none of it. He said he's going to go straight in the first choice goalkeeper. I said, nah, he's coming in just to allow Woodman to go out and run. That's all he's there for. And if he impresses, great. We'll have a better collective three.
Yeah, if he is good, then put him straight in the first team. But again, I think up top is where the chances we're creating is the issue. I think
we're creating more chances than what we used to earlier on the season. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think there's more options than what we had the season we went down. I'm not comparing to last season because I think it's a different kettle of fish sort of thing, the Championship. But the season we went down, it was we were heavily reliant on Wijnaldum,
who only turned up at home.
Yeah, and I think this year we look a little bit more, diverse in the fact that the whole team can adapt and change. And I think the one big change to that is Mohamed Diame.
What a performance he's put in. I was at the Stoke game, and that was the start of his... Well, I know you could say the West Ham because he scored, but he really took note of the Stoke away, and ever since then, for me, he's been the best player since January. In January, he's player of the month for me. If he doesn't win that award, what fun triple A to put up? If he doesn't win player of the month, it's a crime. It is. He's been beast mode.
Even since Christmas as well. I mean, he played against Man City at home, and he didn't look really out of place in the midfield.
Looks like he's found a home, doesn't he?
Yes, and I was a bit dubious of him when he got put in against Man City with Shelby. I was like, oh God, how much steel are we going to have in midfield? But he actually did do a very good job, and he probably doesn't get enough credit.
No, I've given him. Yeah, he doesn't. This month, I've definitely had. I mean, I think he's 31 now, so his legs are starting to go, and he'll not get up the pitch because we use him as a number 10. I thought it was awful, and that he looks like in that new role, he has found his position for the rest of his career.
Mikel Merino can't get a start at the moment.
You never can hear him.
Exactly. So,
what's happened to him?
I don't know.
See, I don't read him.
Do you not?
No.
I'm a little bit biased towards him. I actually quite like him. And I think he's a good prospect.
He's got age on his side, and that's the benefit of keeping him in the club. But if he was like 27, 28, get rid of him. Because he's never going to...
If he was the same age as Jack Colback, would you say?
Yeah, if he was at that age, he's like, nah, he's not that. I just think he struggled a little bit this year. So it's a bit of a shame.
But it's
I know it's another level.
In the Premier League, isn't it? So...
Of course, that's why I've got to give him the benefit of doubt. He's young. He's 22, 23. Plenty of time. But it's more that's changed, mind you. We've scored a lot. I read a stat. It's over 30% of our goals now. That's how crucial our set pieces are.
Our scoring goals from set pieces, and it's vital that we have. But the service from the set pieces are getting better.
Yeah.
With Kennedy, so
beats the first man a lot more as well.
Yeah, and when he doesn't, it goes right through them on Modiami. So it's all good.
So you said that you're quite optimistic. I mean, I am. I still think we'll stay up. There's a lot of people saying we're going to go down and stuff. And people probably say in the comments box that we're going to go down. I even said if Rafa doesn't sign anybody, I still said that we'll just manage to stay up because of him alone. Where do you see us finishing up the season?
I said we don't need any signings.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't want any signings. If we can sign players that are going to improve the squad, then that's fine. But from the start of the season, I think all the Newcastle, if people aren't thinking this, they're a bit deluded. But at the start of the season, our sole priority was to stay in the Premier League. That's our priority, and the needs of the squad were to keep us up. And I don't think we needed to sign anybody to keep us up. I think it would have helped us, but I don't think we needed it. And that's the difference. I think people are confusing wants and needs.
Interesting. I still think we needed a striker, major.
We've got Slimani, and I think
time will tell.
Time will tell, and I think Rafa can't wait until the summer, to be honest.
Yeah. So what happens in the summer then? So we'll stay up. We both agree we'll just manage to stay up. Then what happens now? Takeover? Will Amanda come back?
She'll come back, but I think it might take a while. I don't think it will be done, a month. I think it will be, you'll be looking at the start of
July.
Until it goes through and Rafa's given a budget. But I think it's a sticky one, isn't it?
I think she'll come back. I really do. I've even said that. On the news when I was on the news. I think that she'll come back with another bid once we're almost secure, or we've secured it, and it'll be quietly done. England are in the World Cup. All the headlines and focus will be over there.
Everyone will come back and Sergio Aguero will have signed for Newcastle.
We'll see it. All the Russian hooligans beating up the English drunk fans and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
And then just behind the scenes, Amanda comes and buys Newcastle just under the radar. We're all happy.
I think.
And England get put out on penalties.
The one thing that was the sticking point in the entire of the negotiations, however much went on, was the relegation clause. I think.
Is that true though?
I think Ashley wasn't willing to sell at a cut price because of relegation, and Staveley wanted a relegation clause or somewhat a cut price because of relegation, and none of them were willing to buy or sell without that. So you've got to wait until we're safe to understand the real picture of who actually wants to buy Newcastle.
Yeah, let's just say it all goes tits up. We'll get relegated. And then what happens? Does the takeover happen? What happens with Rafa?
Not thought of that one yet, but
it's a real priority. Only a point it can happen.
Exactly. Off the top of my head, I think Rafa would walk.
You think you'll leave with, even though we're relegated with?
I can't see him wanting to do another year in the Championship.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? To put it on your burden.
It would be his last season on his contract.
Yeah, he's got one more left, after this summer.
So...
have to stay up, don't we?
That's a real difficult one.
It is. The future of Newcastle will have to stay up. Because if the worst comes to the worst and we'll go down, Rafa could walk, but then he's got a burden on his shoulders. I'll leave them as a relegated side. Mike Ashley can't sell the club, and we are fucked returning to New Sunderland.
Exactly. I think...
That's why everyone wanted Rafa back in January.
And I think Ashley has to see the risk in that, and I think that's what he's done, and that's why he's gone for loan signings, because I think he's taken minimal cost on to try and get maximum gains, and the maximum gain that we can get is survival, isn't it? So
has to be, or we're all screwed. Everyone down there is averaging about a point. So I think that'll be just enough.
I'm struggling to see the third team that are going down. I can see Huddersfield and I can see West Brom, but I'm struggling to see the third side. The good thing
could be anyone.
About Huddersfield and West Brom, we've still got to play them at our place. That's massive, I think, for us, because they're the big candidates. And I
think looking at the league table, I think you could see us dropping in for a week. You could then see another one. You could see Brighton in there, and then you could see Stoke in there. Then it could change so often, and then I think I think the last 3-4 games, it'll then break away, and then you'll have about 5 left with about 2-3 games left. I don't think it'll be like these 10, which everyone's talking about now. That'll narrow right down, and eventually there'll be 4 or 5 left to battle it out. And I think we will be one of them, but I think we'll be just enough to keep up. That's the thing. You don't want to go in the last game of the season needing the result, do you? No. Even if Chelsea, I think Chelsea's season's probably over, but still by that time, they're probably qualified for the Champions League, don't have nothing to play for. They might stick out a couple of reserves, but it's still not a game that you want to rely on.
But you've got 4 games at the end of the season. Everton away again.
We never do well there.
We don't, but I've commented on the video. I've been to Stoke the last 2 seasons, the last 2 times we've been, and we got beat 1-0 both times. And then I don't go, and we win. And then it's the same with Stoke. It's the same with Everton, sorry. Been the last 3 times, and the aggregate's been 9-2. So we live in hope, don't we? We live in hope. But
it's all
optimistic.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Just back the team. That's all I could say.
All right, back the team. Well said, Rob. Well, that's it then. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for coming on. That was Rob's idea to come on the night. Like I said, it is a fans channel. So if you want to pop on, obviously we had a couple of Australians just a couple of weeks ago on. Roberts obviously came on. If you want to talk as well, let us know as well. And of course, this podcast will be available on iTunes and SoundCloud. See you, bye.